Alright, a little update on the 250 build. Here is just a giant mountain of parts. Try to go through them a little bit and see what I've got. This is the new gas tank. The old one was cracked. What we got in here, I think that's just an empty box. This, I believe, is the CR style front brake and rotor. Another empty box. I think this is a Kickstarter. This is the crank, back from getting rebuilt. OEM crank with the OE rod and all the washers and the bearing. This here is one of the best pieces. I'm not going to take it out of the plastic, but this is a works pipe. It's actually a Bill's works pipe. And right here, we got the Stinger tip silencer. That was kind of the one thing I wanted to have for sure on this build, was a Stinger tip silencer. But here's the transmission. I had it inspected. Everything was good. They did recommend that I replace the first and fifth gear wheel, so really easy. You literally just slide these off the end of the shaft and put them back on. Steering stem races. I'm going to be reusing those. More parts in here. That's the carburetor. That's going to get vapor blasted. I'm not going to drop that off today. I got to take that apart. Here's some more pieces. The brake pedal and the bolt. I'm about to drop all of these pieces off right here for vapor blasting and or plating of the bolts. There's a swing arm. There's the rear hub, the front hub. I'm going to reuse the circular disc brakes. They are the same style ones that were on the 2000 YZ 250. I don't really like the wavy ones that they use nowadays, so pretty happy that the bike came with them. There's the linkage. This is the bottom triple clamp that's going to get paired with the McGrath Racing upper triple clamp I got. And here's all the various things, like I'm getting the axles plated. These are motor mount bolts, linkage bolts, the radiator and gas tank bolts, front caliper bolts. I just got my frame back from powder coating today. Very happy with how it came out. I requested a color as close as they could get to the blue that was on there. I certainly think that's sufficient. With the subframe, I was looking for a raw metal look. I mean, ideally it would have been sick to find a titanium subframe for this, but the titanium's frame is really expensive and rare, and I wouldn't have found it anyway. So I just decided to powder coat this and make it look at least raw aluminum. It's a little dinged up, the subframe. There's a gouge there, but not really too concerned or worried about it. A, it's going to be covered by the seat and the plastics and everything, and B, it's a dirt bike and I plan on riding it quite a bit, so everything that I put on here is going to get some wear to it eventually. Alright, so I'm going to be pressing in the steering stem races. I got the bottom neck sitting on a 2x4. I got a piece of cardboard and the frame sitting on a rag to protect it. So it's a pretty straightforward process. You want to heat up the neck with a torch. Anything to get that hot. I got the races in the freezer, and I'm just going to be using an impact socket and a hammer, and they should drop in pretty easily. And you just got to make sure that you put the correct one on the top, because there is a difference in size between the top and the bottom. So just look that up and reference it before you install it, because that would suck to take them apart again. So I'm just going to heat this up. This out of the freezer. This one I have labeled T for top. Gonna put a little grease around the edge of that and see if I can't get this thing knocked in. Okay, so that went well. I don't know if you can see it, but I got it seated all the way down on the ring it's supposed to be on. I saved myself about $55–60 by not buying the tool. I really think that it helps a lot when you heat it up with a torch and freeze it. That's kind of standard for pressing in any sort of bearing, is you always want to throw them in the freezer to shrink them and heat them up to where they're going in. I mean, they'll pretty much almost fall into place if they're cold, if you freeze it and heat it up enough. So that side went well. I'm gonna flip it upside down, put the bottom one in, and should be all I'm gonna do on it for tonight. All right, so just got the bottom one in, and I think that took me all of about 3 minutes. So what do I have? Maybe I think this is an axle nut socket. It was 35mm. It was a hair too short, so maybe if I had a little bit better one, that would have been better, or a little bit bigger one, that would have been better. But either way, I pretty much almost fell into place just with heating up the neck and freezing the race. So it's a pretty simple job, especially if you have the frame off if you have just the bare frame down. And honestly, you really shouldn't ever have to redo this as long as you keep up with your greasing of the bearings. But even then, the bearings will go bad long before the race. So that's it. That's all for tonight.